much talk about nothing. The drama unfolds and the mission is revealed as you turn and you run away. Overactive genealogy determines the direction of the day. Determines the direction of the day. laughing. The drama unfolds and the mission is revealed as you turn and you run away. Overactive genealogy determines the direction of the day.
Children of the lawn.
Happy Thursday!
Happy Thursday to you. Throwback Thursday.
That's right.
That's right.
With our good friend Chris Tristram.
Yeah, this was a fun. This was a fun chat. Now these guys are on their tour bus, tour vehicle, whatever it is.
Tour van, I think, at that time.
I don't know. It's pretty. If you can stand up, it's not a van.
Well, that's true. It wasn't the bus that they bought, though.
No, it's not the new bus.
No.
But this was their old one. It was I think it was a nursing home thing or something like that. Looks mighty comfortable.
They're creative.
Yeah, and and it's funny because I said to him, when we were touring and doing all the playing, instead of taking a tour bus, we used to all drive in separate cars and talk to each other on CB radios. There's brilliant.
That was Rat Race.
Yeah, and the funniest part of it is you can't really hit anybody more than a mile away.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Oh.
No, what do you think you got? We had short wave radio?
I don't know anything about any of that.
Well, good buddy.
I know that wouldn't have been flying if I was in the car.
No.
No.
Hey, good buddy.
That shit would not have flown with me.
I got the Southern Belle with me right here.
No.
Westbound and down.
No redneck shit for me.
You got the Magic Machine and the Southern Belle right here coming at you 5 by
I
5.
feel like I'm watching Tammy and George.
7s and 3s on you, good buddy. Watch out for them Smokies.
Oh gosh, guys, Laurie Richardson
Huh.
found a great gardening show on Roku on channel 466.
Roku.
Gardener's World with Monty Don.
And man, I mean, you'd think these people were like building Ferraris.
It's great. I'm learning stuff already.
The petals hold the nectar. The bees pollinate throughout the
did
garden.
that lady just okay.
What?
That lady just showed us. You know how like if you have a vanilla bean orchid, you're supposed to like get a little paintbrush and pollinate the flowers, and because it doesn't do it naturally, she got an electric toothbrush and put it behind the flower and it blew the pollen all around.
So
Like
there
the
you go.
bees
Next time you want to
made
blow some pollen, go get your toothbrush.
Oh God.
Did you used to blow pollen? Because he's looking for you.
I'm gonna blow me some pollen.
Yeah, he's looking for
I
you.
have to tell my friend Drew how to blow his pollen.
He's back in town. All right, without any further ado, let's throw back. Throwback. It was July of 2021. We were young. No.
Younger.
We were younger. Anyway, this was a fun chat. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be here for your comments and whatever else you have to throw at us.
There you go.
Boom.
All right.
So let's see who's knocking at the door. Well, there you are.
Howdy.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Hey guys, let me turn you up a little bit here. How are you, Steve?
Good, man. Good. I'm just flying along through space, as you guys are. You're on your way to a gig.
I am in the bus right now. We are on the way to Indiana to play a show tomorrow.
That was posted on the site.
Yeah, we shared it on the site today. I saw whenever one of our friends is playing a gig, we do what we can to promote.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And that's cool. So who's in the van with you? Not that we're,
Well, we have Scott is currently driving. We have Tony Servo.
Okay.
We have Sanford.
Hey!
We have We have Alex, our keyboard player.
Hey, man.
Well, looks like you guys have what?
Who's that? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Tell it. Point at your mouth.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, who's under the blanket? We didn't get that.
I don't know if you can hear me. Somebody was just trying to call me via Facebook.
Oh.
It's unmuted.
You're good now.
Can't hear you at all. I don't know what happened.
Can't hear
Can't
me.
hear you.
Okay, why don't you leave the meeting and come back?
You want me to write that down for you?
Yeah. Now here, let me. I'll text it to him. I think I can figure that out.
Okay.
I don't know what to do about
Okay.
that.
All right.
All right. Oh, there. He went out.
Okay.
Now he's probably gonna come back in.
Okay. That's really good band.
Let's see what. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You back? You got me?
Nope.
Yes. No. Oh, he's got. Okay. So somebody tell him to log back in. It's tough on the road
Okay.
in all kinds of ways. I'm about to go down this black hole here. I get it. Okay.
There he is.
Here he is. Let's see.
Heading to Indiana.
Yeah. Let's go with professional show business.
Yeah. Tonight?
Okay. We'll try it again.
Okay, we're back.
Oh, we're back. Yeah, good. And listen, if that happens, just do exactly what you just did. Bail and come back because we're good.
Gotcha. So, who's the mystery voice who I cannot see?
Oh, that would be my wife and producer, Lori.
Hi.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Lori. Nice to meet you.
I think you have a great band, and it looks like you guys have a lot of fun.
We do have a lot of fun. It also makes it a lot more fun when you're playing with a bunch of guys that you enjoy.
Exactly.
Hello. Yeah, that's believe me. I know what it's like to be out with guys that you absolutely can't wait to get up and see the next day. And I know I did one tour where it wasn't that way, and I'll never do that again.
Yeah. Well, it kind of rolls in that way, and you don't know what you get till you're in it, and just like any other relationship, because that's kind of what it is. You're in a relationship with 8 people, and you're kind of in a marriage, and you try to.
Oh, believe me, I get that dynamic. And the weird thing is, it depends when you start. How old you were when you started that marriage? If you were 14. And now you're 35, and it's like, a lot of things change in 20 years.
I know.
That's
So many bands break up because they just can't get past that type of stuff in their youth, and they don't, just stick together. It's really not that hard, but sometimes it becomes difficult.
It's
Rob Zombie.
It's as,
that was cool.
Yeah, it's as hard as everybody makes it.
Right.
I mean, we don't want to go down this road.
Yes.
But
move on.
but when you form a band later on in your life, it's usually with guys that you're going to hang with, and everybody's thinking the same thought, and that's a nice thing. That's great when it happens.
Yeah, it is great. So, are you familiar with Peter Barron?
Sure, I know Peter.
Of course. Well, he says hi.
Oh, well, hi, Peter.
He came to our house before.
Yeah, he's been over the house.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I briefly jumped on with Scott last time, and I mentioned that I've only played one gig with you, and that was at Roseland in New York City. And it was for a Linda McCartney benefit, and Nile Rodgers was there, Simon Le Bon was there, and me, you, Peter Barron, Jolene Turner, Leslie West. We did a thing, and I had to learn the songs like 3 days beforehand. Peter gave me a set list, and I just had to jump on stage and join you guys and do the best I could. And by the way, I loved playing with you that night, and it was the only time that I ever got to play with you.
Well, the good news is there's still time.
Excellent. I like that idea.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you what, if this whole crazy year or so that we've gone through has taught me anything, it's how to forge new musical relationships without damaging old ones. If you make it to this point in your career as a pro, you've kind of learned where the bombs are and where the pitfalls are. So you get to walk through it with a little bit more, reasonable understanding of what's going on. And that makes for a great situation,
Yeah, it does. And luckily, I happen to be in one here with these guys from Double Vision. So
I'll tell you what, man, I was absolutely blown away when we had Scott on. I played whatever video that was. I don't think it was the same one.
It was a different one.
It was a different one. And it was, and man, I mean, the sounds, I know something about those sounds because I have a friend who played on that record. I have a couple of friends who played on that record. And in fact, on that song, who plays the solo, right? It's Junior Walker.
Sax solo.
The sax solo.
Oh.
But the whole sax part throughout the song was played by Mark Rivera. So yeah, they just knocked on Junior for the solo. He happened to be in the studio at the time, and they said, and this is obviously coming from the source. They said, would you come in and do this? Blah 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 blah, and that's what happened. But it's Mark playing throughout that record, throughout that.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Steve, I want to take you back to around 1981. I remember seeing your band play at Mother's.
Mother's, yeah, in Wayne.
Yeah, you guys are just so amazing, and you killed it. And of course, you played one of my favorite songs. Well, one of my favorite bands by Yes, Roundabout.
Oh man, we were going through. That was at a really weird time for us. Everything was changing a little bit, and we were playing. We learned so many songs, so many different songs that, like, when I look at an old set list, and I was like, "Did we play that?" It's just
because your keyboard had left 79 or
because Larry, the original keyboard player for the band, actually not the original, but the one that was there for all the halcyon years, left in 79. So 80, 81, we were we were playing as a trio when we couldn't play with a keyboard player. Then we finally got a keyboard player. I think it was late 80. I don't know, man. It's everything just happened. That whole block of time was sort of the end of one thing and the beginning of another. From like 79 to 85, it was, or 86. It was like I felt like I was floating in space.
Yeah, well, and definitely the music scene was changing, and digital was coming out. The Lindrum made an appearance, and it kind of hurt people like you. Yeah.
Well, I like to think it didn't hurt people like me because I don't think of myself as. Oh yes, absolutely. I know what you meant. Believe me, I know, and I have a funny story about that. I have a couple of funny stories about that, especially about the Lindrum. Here's what I was told from an engineer. I think it was Electric Lady, but I'm not sure. Steve Wonder is doing a session, and Roger Lynn walks in with a box that has two buttons on it. It's about this size, got a Canon connector on the side, got two buttons on it, right? A red one and a blue one. And they plug it in, and he hands it to Stevie, and Stevie hits the red button, and it's the kick drum, and he hits the blue button, and it's a snare drum, and he goes, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now, the other story is a lot more satisfying for me to tell as a drummer. I was in a little over, how many years ago? I don't know, 37 years ago. I was in a very unfortunate accident that put me in the hospital for a while. And we had a gig that we were supposed to play I think it was Hot Dog Beach
In the Hamptons.
in the Hamptons, and I was still, there was no way I could be swinging drumsticks. And so my bass player got a DMX, if you remember those.
Sure.
And he spent a month programming all of my parts into this thing. And I have no idea. I know that he was very proud of it. He couldn't wait for me to hear it, right? And I'm thinking to myself, really? And they put the thing up on stage, and we walk on, and he hits it to make it play the first song, and it dumped because it was in the blood.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes. So I wound up having to do the 2-finger performance with them.
Right.
Day.
Oh my. Yeah, I've done that. I used to own a rolling 66 machine back in the 70s into the early 80s, and machine helped make my 4-track recordings, and it also helped me as a bass player because I wasn't really too into metronome, so I just programmed, and I would play all these different scales with rhythms to it, and just try to time with the metronome, try to same time, and then I started playing out. Well, I'm going to add a little bit. And, I'm pretty well on the metronome here, and I'm playing these bar gigs, and I'm just having a hard time playing with these drummers. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Well, it's sorry to say, I'm not sure if it was me.
Well, you know what? The interesting thing about that is, I mean, for a rhythm section, if you don't lock with the drummer, it doesn't matter how good either guy is.
Exactly.
It really doesn't. It has nothing. It doesn't matter. It's going to do nothing but be a train wreck and be uncomfortable for everybody. And because if you're a pocket player, if you're a groove meister, you're one of those guys that just, like a Steve Ferroni or, one of those cats with this, the super big groove. You're going to sit there, and if the bass player isn't feeling one where you are, there's no way that you can relax into that groove. It's like trying to meditate and somebody throws a firecracker at you.
I know. It's hard. It's hard for me to feel comfortable, and I start sweating, and I keep saying to myself, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I'm just not feeling? I'm not feeling this."
Yeah. It's rough, and especially when you're in that situation and you have to get through that whole situation for a whole night. If you're like the first call guy and somebody says, "Hey man, I need a bass player tonight," and it's okay, what's the book, and they tell you the songs, and no problem, I know all the songs, and then you go there and your counterpart, in the drum chair is like not hearing it. That's a nightmare.
I'm sure you don't have that problem with Scott.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't have that problem. You definitely don't have that problem with Scott.
No, we're definitely locked in. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can tell.
And you can't, you can't make that. You can't practice that. I don't know. I make a point for the people that are watching. You can't practice that. Right. That reaction to time, and it's about hearing. That's the one thing.
Yes.
If you're in your space, then you're listening. That's the only way you can move around in your space without crashing into somebody else's space. But it's fun being part of a rhythm section because you create something. You create the foundation of whatever is being put on top of it. And I didn't really come to fully understand that until I had played with a couple of different guys and really realized how lucky I was to be able to lock with the first guy that I ever played with and lock almost genetically. So it was, it was good.
Yeah, Yeah, I had the same experience. My very first drummer was older than me. They were high school. I was middle school, and this guy actually had a pretty good groove. And I'm going to play a gig with him in a few weeks, and I play with him, even though he's his drumming is not his full profession. He still has it with him. He still has that groove with him, you know. And I play with guys that they're being in bands, and I've had rough nights.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've dealt with that more in a jam situation. You know, if I'm jamming at any of those city clubs where I used to go in the '80s and '90s. It's when you get one of those people up there that doesn't quite hang in the groove with you, and it doesn't look. It could be the best player on earth, but he's not mixing with the core band or whatever. It's uncomfortable, and all of a sudden you're not listening the way you're listening when you're in the pocket. You're listening like I'm waiting for something to drop.
Right. And to kind of add to your experience, I'm also a sound engineer, studio and live, and when I'd be doing sound check, like let's say the drummer will come up, all right, kick, snare, all right, you go through all that, okay, give me the whole kit. And the drummer just starts going nuts. I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty good. And then the bass player comes up, all right, let me hear your bass. And he starts slapping and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, wow, this guy's got some chops. And now it's time for them to play. And it's a pretty 4/4 straight up song, and they can't lock in. They have the chops, but they just can't put it together.
Well, you can't put a Cobra engine in a Corvette. I mean, you can, but why? And maybe you shouldn't. You know what It's just there are certain things that are meant.
Nothing wrong with the Corvette.
Yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with either one of those on its own. But man, you can't do it wrong. And my personal musical experience with bass players, and I've had. I mean, it blows my mind when I think of the list of guys that I've played with. I've had that chemistry with all of them. All the guys that I did any time with, and it was like I wondered if they were like each other, or you know what I mean. You try to think about the connection, because John Entwistle is certainly not like Jack Bruce, and Jack Bruce is not like Cliff Williams. And it's. But they all get that. They all get the time. I don't know. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What actually put me into my place is that I was living in LA at the time, and I was doing a record for Capitol Records with my band, and we had, for some reason, we wound up recutting the entire record. It was John Bryan, and he was bringing in a guest drummer. He didn't let us know who it was, and we were going to recut the basic tracks live. So it was just bass, drums, and guitar. And the person who showed up was Jim Keltner.
Oh wow!
And so here I am, this kid kind of a thing in the back of my mind. How did I get here type of thing. And now. The click track comes on, the count comes in, and here I am playing with Jim Keltner, and man, did I have to readjust. And that Jim Keltner changed my life as far as where to keep the pocket, at least when I was playing with him. And after that session I did with him, it was a 2-day session. He changed my life as a bass player forever.
Okay, and if I could guess what it was that you put together was you really learned how important it is to listen to that groove. You hear it as a whole thing, not as a kick. You hear it as a whole, like it's the life that goes with yours.
It truly does. It's like a whole other entity for me. And at that moment, I started to learn about space because he was really good at space. I was like, "Whoa!" There's something I never got to be in a studio with a guy like that, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm forever thankful for that.
Yeah, it's amazing how you get those moments. You get those touchstone moments in your career that that make all the difference. It's cool, believe
So
me.
now he's played with Great White.
Yes. So tell me about I have a clip of, is it the original band or what, the other band, your band?
Great White?
No.
Lord?
It's, I don't know, it's Helicopter?
Oh, Helicopter, yes. I was in a prog band for a little while with the drummer from Great White, me and the drummer Dickie Felizar, and a bunch of other guys in LA. We started a band called Perfect Being, and we just made the decision to do whatever we wanted to do because we had our own recording studios. We had no timeline. We didn't have a clock. And we made 2 records before the band disbanded. And I really, really had a great time because I could really play whatever I felt like playing on it. And some songs are a little commercial than others. The song Helicopter, the one that you have, is definitely more of a commercial side. But nonetheless, still a lot of fun. Great bunch of guys. Fun project.
Okay, well, I'm going to play that.
Yeah.
And if you want, you're getting a little glitchy. If you want to leave and come back, it won't affect anything. But as long as you're hearing it coming at you right, it's all good. So this is cool. This is called Helicopter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you knew that, didn't you?
Yes.
All right, here it comes. There he is.
Yay!
Okay. Whatever. That was great, man.
What?
What a good, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah, it was mainly.
Go ahead.
I was just going to point out it was mainly a studio band. We played a few shows, and just everybody got very busy and just couldn't keep it together, unfortunately. But it was a great group of guys, a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what blows my mind about about your music and the music of your contemporaries. When I was coming up, and I think I came up maybe a few years before you guys, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we're being
I
kind.
bet that's serious. No, I wasn't.
No, it's okay. Believe me, I'm just playing with you. I'm very proud, that I'm even still alive. So don't worry about it. I'm much less playing, every day. Yeah, it's just lonely. Oh, poor me.
Come over and play with you, Steve.
There you go. Now you're talking. Now
We're
you're
in
talking.
Florida, come over.
Yeah, no, we can make that work. But what I was going to say was, when I was coming up, in the early part of my career, if somebody said, "Hey, man, listen to my song," it was usually like, and so you found yourself not really wanting to listen to anybody's stuff because it usually sucked and it was poorly produced. I mean, there was something wrong everywhere. And all of the stuff that I'm hearing, especially all of the guys that have been on the show that have shared material with me, it all sounds
amazing,
phenomenal. I mean, I have a studio in my house and I know what it takes to get a good drum sound. I've been working on mine for a year.
Oh my God.
I just tweak little things. Believe me, I got my sound, but it's just, I'm so impressed with the production and the orchestrations. What people, it's a different world, man. It's
well, because they grew up going to see people like Rat Race Choir.
Well, okay. So,
well, I came to see people like Rat Race Choir, and that was right up my alley. So.
Well, there you go. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I was very proud, of what we did and the level of playing that we collected. And that it's interesting because I say it all the time on the show, especially when we're talking about that era in music, which, I say to everybody, man, you're so lucky to have been a part of that in any way, shape, or form. That's like the British invasion of Long Island in the the 70s and 80s. It was a touchstone, not quite the British invasion, but it was a touchstone moment in history. And happy to be part of it. But I don't remember. And I suppose we, when we learned deep cuts, when we did the Gentle Giant stuff, and when we did all that crazy prog stuff, I suppose. Well, yeah, it's freaking great. Did we play that when you saw us?
I don't recall, honestly. That was a long time ago for me.
You know what? I got it. Okay, here we go.
Do you have a video?
No, but I have something at my disposal. It'll be interesting to know if you can hear this. I'm going to turn my mic. I had a meeting with my management team yesterday, and I was trying to play them some stuff, and they couldn't hear it. I had to leave my mic on. But that shouldn't be the case. So will you help me do a little experiment? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start some music, and then I'm going to turn my mic off. And if the music starts, give me stops, give me thumbs down. If the music keeps playing, give me thumbs up.
You got it.
Okay, here we go. Let's see where we are. And that's the way it's supposed to be, though.
Oh, wow.
See, it happened. I had to leave my mic on, and there's some kind of a weird patch thing. But yeah, 2 weeks in Spain.
Yes.
That was I could kind of make it out. It sounded pretty cool. Whatever.
Yeah, but it's supposed that was Rat Race playing 2 weeks in Spain, but it's supposed to come.
I thought it
come right through the system, and I don't.
Gentle Giant?
Gentle Giant, yeah.
I thought it was a cut from Gentle Giant. So. Sounds great.
Well, you know what? I'll send you an MP3 of it. It was fun, and it was a good.
It was Gentle Giant.
It was a good night. It was Gentle Giant, and it was 2 weeks in Spain.
Yeah, but he thought it was not Rat Race. He thought it was Gentle Giant.
You thought? I see. Okay.
Right. I thought it was Gentle Giant. That's how spectacular it was. So.
Oh wow! Well, I used to love playing that stuff. All the time changes. It was just.
I know. I love that.
And we, and Dave could sing it so well. I mean, it was
That was your bass player.
Yeah, that was my bass player. So yeah, we started the journey together and ran together for 25 years. So it was, yeah.
Are you in Indiana yet?
Yeah, where are you in the world? We need a geolocation.
Yes.
Hey Scott, are we in Indiana yet? He said yes, we are.
Ah.
I see. Can we get him to read off the next sign? Are you on what road are you on?
I will let you know. I'm not exactly sure what road we're on. But I'm going to tell you as it comes up. I'll tell you where we're at. But I have to ask you. I have to ask you. How was it playing with John Edwards?
With John.
Yeah, he's definitely a pretty big influence of mine. So.
It seemed like once we started playing together, I'll tell you the whole weird part of it. We're at NAMM 1987. We get introduced to Entwistle. I say to him, with all of us, Rat Race, get introduced to him. I say to him, with more balls than a Christmas tree, you want to jam? And he says, anytime. So now I go on the NAMM floor and I'm like, hey man, I'm playing with John Entwistle and we'd like to jam. So I wind up getting us a a slot at the Vic Theater. This is Summer NAMM in Chicago, and it's like 1,000, 2,000 people. It's the Kramer Jam, right? And they put us right in the middle, right at the.
They bumped Neil Schon.
Unbelievable. They bumped Neil Schon. Leslie West played before us. It was, and I have it. As weird as it is, I have it on video. So what happened was we were going to play live at Leeds and Won't Get Fooled Again and My Generation and Summertime Blues. So it was easy for me. I had played that with Rat Race. We just knew it like the back of our hand, you know. It wasn't even any question. So I had played it so many times that when Dave wasn't playing bass and just singing, and Entwistle's playing bass, I didn't even realize it until I looked up and saw, yeah, and from that point, and the truth is, he probably felt it before I did because I was so nammed out. You know, I was playing on this big pink premiere set, and I wasn't even thinking about John Entwistle. And then we got on real quick, and he gave me a copy of the album that he wanted to release. It was amazing. So he knew that we were going to find that groove before I ever knew it. And
wow.
And
always had played together.
Yeah, it once, and especially once we had played with each other for a few years, it felt like we were always in a band together.
It was like a dog fight.
And it was like, it was like a birthday party on New Year's Eve and Christmas Day with drugs and alcohol. I don't know. I mean,
They would push each other.
It was like a constant bass solo. Did you ever see the video of us doing Shakin' All Over?
I'd have to see it.
Oh, how much time we got? Let's see if I can make.
Can you play it?
I'm going to try to plunk my magic twanger, Froggy. Hang on.
I'm sure he
Plunk your magic? No, you remember Andy's gang? I think you know.
I don't.
You don't remember Andy's gang? Well,
no.
Okay.
And if I don't, he's younger than me.
Okay, well, that was a funny thing. All right, all right, here we go. And so I have, because I just played it for Mike the other day. So, no, not for this. Watch. Oh, no, this is good.
Okay.
I just got to find it. So what route are you guys on while I'm looking?
He doesn't know.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, which highway are we? 80? Oh, we're still on 80? Oh my gosh, we're still on 80 all the way out. Okay.
Wow.
Mile 129 on Route 80.
Wow. Well, listen, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And when is the gig?
It's tomorrow.
So that's easy.
Yeah.
Like 80.
That's right. You have
And the vehicle that you guys are riding in, is that your vehicle?
Yeah.
That the band vehicle?
There you go. This is.
Don't you remember that Scott said he was putting a bed in it?
I think that, right, I remember. I think that's incredible that you guys have. That's amazing, man. Because we used to, we didn't quite do it that way. We all bought sports cars and then drove. In Rat Race, we all bought sports cars and then drove separately to the gig. It was like
but talked on CB radio.
Well, whatever. Okay. Oh, look at this.
Oh, you guys are on the CB radio? That's funny.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Good buddy. Yeah, that was man. Yeah, that was the first night. Stop.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That was killer. It sounds like you guys have been playing together, for years. So,
well,
great.
In essence, we had, by default, and I'll tell you something funny about that. Now, picture this. Look at it, you're Entwistle. And it's 87. Who hasn't played in 5 years? You try to do a couple solo albums here and there, and you've been doing NAMM, every year, summer and winter. And And all of a sudden, somebody says, "Hey, you want to jam?" And he says, "Okay." And the guy who says it picks you up later that night in a limousine provided by whatever.
Kramer.
By Kramer. With the limousine was bigger than the front of the hotel I was staying in, right? I pick him up. He's with Andy as roadie. He puts the bass in the trunk, looks at the limousine, but doesn't, he's not too, it's Entwistle, so, We get in the car and they drive us to that place. Only you can't see where we're going. We're in Chicago and we go down this back alley and we get out of the car and there's security and they take us down the steps and now we're in the bottom of the theater. He has no idea where we are or what we're doing. So the rest of the guys...
We're going to jam.
He says, yeah, I think we're going to jam. He said, what are we going to play? I said, well, we can play whose songs? He said, I don't know any.
He didn't remember.
I said, well, we'll teach them to you. And so the rest
Oh, really?
of the guys, oh, yeah. Yeah. So the rest of the guys get there and we start working on the Live at Leeds stuff, right? And he says, he says, you guys even learned the mistakes.
Ah,
They were on the
And so, yeah, so it was that.
I said, but that's what you do. It's like you listen to a record over and over again. I'm gonna go. Of course, it's just like listening to an album, and you get the same scratches in it all the time. And every time I hear that song coming up, I hear the scratch.
Man, I know what you're talking about because it becomes part of the song.
It does. It becomes part of the song.
I mean, it happens every time, and if you didn't want it to happen every time, you shouldn't have put it there.
Well,
Right.
accidents happen.
So anyway, and the end of that was the last song that we did out of the 4 songs, right? And you can see all of a sudden he lifts his head up and he walks over to the drums, and it's like, okay. And that's why I said he knew it before
I saw
that.
I saw it. He walked right over to you, and I was like, man, this guy's a mother effer. Guaranteed.
And we spent the rest of that night, hanging out, telling jokes back and forth. And I mean, everybody that you can ever imagine was there at the after party. And all of a sudden, he's like, he's like rejuvenated because all of a sudden he's just done what he was born to do and hasn't done in years. And he gave me his phone number, and it was weird too because I had not called overseas, and I was like, this is too many numbers, man. 01144 4513173, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And we talked every couple of days until Kramer and K-Rock called and said, would you play the K-Rock and Roll Up Your Sleeve blood drive live from the Bottom Line? Broadcast live. And I said, of course we would. And the rest, as they say.
Yeah.
So, man.
Well, let's give him his question so he can.
Yeah, we're gonna. First of all, I want to tell you how cool I think it is that you guys travel together and that you're really, there's nothing like a real band. It's
That's how John was with the tour bus.
That's how John was. I'll tell you a real quick tour bus story, and then I'm going to ask you the fantastic questions. And props to all the guys you play with, man.
Yeah.
No question. We're on the road, and we've got truck, 2 tour buses, whatever. We're carrying our own back line, and our tour bus, the band tour bus, the air conditioning went out, and we're in Arizona, New Mexico, someplace Albuquerque, someplace really hot. During the summer of, it had to be.
We went in the pool and it was like
it was like taking a bath. Getting in the pool was like 105 every day. Anyway, so our bus loses the air conditioning, and the tour manager says, "Oh, we'll have another bus here. We'll have another bus meet us in Colorado, which is where we were going."
Yeah, Denver.
And you guys, and Jimmy and John, they'll charter a plane and we'll fly whatever private in the morning, and we'll probably get there before, we'll be at the hotel, and they have it all
They
synced
put
up,
me
right?
and our dog on the road.
And so
bus.
Lori's out on the road with us, and my dog, who was the mascot of the tour, was out on the road with us. And there's like 11 people that have to go in the crew bus because our bus is not happening.
Right, the rest of the band.
So, yeah, the rest of the band, all the crew, and so on and so forth. And so I walk out, so we have day bags, or just overnight bags for me and John, so we can go the next morning. And I said, well, let's go out and say goodbye. And I go out and I want to say goodbye to my wife. And he says to me, and everybody's, when you're getting ready to do a road trip, you're stowing your cack away, and you're getting your space ready, and whatever it is, getting whatever the snack is going to be, whatever the movie's going to be, and it's that busy bee thing that happens right before you take off on a tour bus. And John turns to me and he says, looks like they're going to have a really good time. And I said, yeah, we always have a really good time. He says, you don't want to fly tomorrow, do you? I said, no, not really. Okay, tell him to wait. And that was it.
Yep.
He wanted to be on that bus.
Yep.
13 people for 13 hours to get to, and he loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Because everybody thinks, a superstar, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Deep down inside, we're all just regular people.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, he knows a level of poverty that you and I will never understand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, think about it. He was born in 1944 in London.
Right. Oh, yes.
Everything was bombed out, food rationing. I mean, he came up.
He didn't see a banana until he was 8.
He didn't see a banana until he was 8 years old. We were rehearsing for the tour, for the blood drive that I was talking about, and they catered the whole thing. They had a chef, and it was, blah, blah, blah. And there was a bunch of bananas, and John takes the bananas and he gives them to Laura, and he says, take these bananas. And she said, take these bananas back to the room. And Laura said, why? He said, I like bananas. I didn't see a banana until I was 8 years old. And she said, you want them? You take them. So here's Entwistle in his frickin' leather jacket with the cowboy shirt and the spider and the belt and the boots, carrying a bunch of bananas back.
That is funny.
Oh, man. And he was great, man. You would have loved him, and, yeah.
Time for the question.
Gone too soon. All right, you ready for the big questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Sign up.
We know that you're an authentic. You can answer this authentically because you are on the road as we speak.
That's right.
Correct.
So you're going to bougie, Missouri, and your favorite restaurant on the road is?
Well, I'm gonna have to change that up a little bit, but I always look forward to the greasy Waffle Houses because they're not around, they're not near us.
Yep.
So, but what I've done is I've sampled all around the country pulled pork from Texas to Arizona to Washington State to Maine. I've been in all 50 states, and the best pulled pork I've ever had was in Fargo.
Fargo?
What?
Yep.
Was it a food?
Really? Are you sure? Are you sure it was pork?
I'm telling you, we played a festival. It was with Great White, and they have and they're called Rib Fest.
Yep.
I played them.
And they're great. They're these big gatherings, these big outdoor festivals, thousands and thousands of people, and they have the Rib Fest, they have all the different meats and all that, and that was in Nebraska, in Fargo. Not Nebraska, Idaho, right?
North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Wow. That's
Yeah, because we love pulled pork.
because man, we love pulled pork. The best pulled pork sandwich that I ever had was at the foot of Lookout Mountain in Tennessee, and it was a guy that we're going back 20 years. It was a guy in a mobile, like what they would call a food truck now,
with a smoker.
With a smoker, and he towed it behind his station wagon called Hot Sauce Charlie. It was we used
so
to pull off the road on the way down to Florida just to go and get a pulled pork sandwich from this guy.
And then one
year he wasn't
gone.
there. It was like,
No, how disappointing. You drive all that way.
Yeah, we went out of
and
our
I mean,
way.
we drove around too. We were looking for,
Where's Hot Sauce
it
Charlie?
wasn't internet. Well, it was internet, but this guy was not. He did not have a bulletin board or whatever it was back then.
No.
But yeah,
There
and
was no Facebook back then.
and just to give you, just to pass one back to you, the next time you're in San Antonio,
Yeah.
try Rudy's Worst Barbecue. Have you ever done it?
I have not done that. No.
And you are
Yeah, it's worst. Like
W-O-R-S-T?
W-O-R. Rudy's Worst on the Riverwalk. The brisket will like melt in your mouth. It's ridiculous. Well, I'm sure you
We have a food truck here in
Yeah.
Fort Myers, Jonesy.
Yeah, we
Oh
got
my
Jonesy's, and man, it's spreading. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised at Fargo, right?
Yeah.
It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. In the middle of nowhere, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Rib Fest in St. Pete with Xander.
And
Yeah, I played a Rib Fest a few years ago with Rob and Xander, and the bummer was you get there and you get locked down right away. I couldn't go out and to have any ribs, plus the fact I can't eat like 90 minutes or an hour minimum before I play, or it's not going to be good.
yeah, I'm the type of guy that kind of wouldn't follow that rule. I would just go out anyway, and and then even if I played in front of 15,000 people or something like that at one of the Great White shows, after we were done playing, because typically it would be like 3 or 4 bands on the bill. And I would go out and just sit down with the audience and hang out, walk around, have beers, and just be that guy. Because
that's half the fun of it. That's half the fun. But for me, I mean, it wouldn't matter if roadies brought it back. I couldn't eat it,
Well, after
when
the
it was
show,
fresh.
REO was putting
After the show, we got some stuff, but you miss all the best stuff if you don't go out right away.
no, I know.
Those things are great to play. All right, well, okay, moving on down.
that's a good answer, though.
Moving on down, it's a great answer.
Fargo, yeah.
Pulled pork in Fargo.
Yeah.
And no way of no business card from that dude?
I don't have one though. Sorry.
We have had a few Waffle House people.
If I would have known you were such a pulled pork lover, I definitely would have gotten that number.
Well, there's still time.
Where'd you play up in Fargo?
I played in
Walker, Minnesota.
Walker,
At the Moondance Jam.
Yeah. Have you done that, the Moondance Jam in Walker, Minnesota?
No, I haven't done that.
Similar type of deal. But anyway,
that sounds good.
there's
No pulled pork.
Yeah, no pulled pork, but So, moving right along, the set list comes out. The set list comes out, and you see your favorite song to play live. I love playing this song. Favorite song to play live.
Well, the first song on the top of the set list would be Siberian Katru.
Oh,
That would be the first song, my God, Starship Trooper.
right.
That one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah, if I ever had a chance, I would definitely would love to play with you.
I'll tell you funny. Yeah, it's weird how all the points on the compass. I'll tell you a funny story that happened at the Moondance Jam in Walker, Minnesota. They were on the, how it rotates over 3 days. Nobody's the headliner. They went on before us. And Metallica's sound man was doing front of house for Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so when Joe, our sound man, went out there, he starts dialing in every ounce of power that there is anywhere in the world because we have to be the loudest thing there is.
Because it's
And
John.
yeah, because it's Entwistle. And Metallica's sound man said to Joe Berger, these guys are too loud for outside.
Wow.
And Entwistle, when Entwistle heard
I
that,
love that.
he wore it like a badge of honor for the rest. It's too loud for outside.
Wow. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and think about it, it's Metallica's sound man that's saying it. You know, it's not like it was Yes's sound man, but I guess his ears had calmed down after a couple of months on the road with those guys.
Yeah.
So,
And I've seen
okay.
Metallica live, and they're really loud. Very loud.
Yeah, but were they too loud for outside? You know, and I'll give you, because you're a bass.
I've seen them inside and I've seen them outside, and the sound guy was distorting the PA system, so I didn't.
Got that. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because you're a bass player.
She's breaking up, Captain. She's breaking up. I've got full bars.
Are we good? Tell me when we're good.
Freezing.
Looks like we got you here.
Tell me when
We're good.
Okay. It happens, Yeah, all right. So anyway, I'm mixing a studio record in John's studio with Bobby Pridden. And John comes in and he said, "You have a troubled look on your face." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What's the matter?" I said, "I can't, I'm not sure whether the bass is too loud or not." And he said, "Turn it up, then you can be sure."
That's funny.
Yeah, he was, man, never at a loss. Okay. The set list comes out, and this is not your favorite song to play. In fact, I don't ever really want to play this song again. What song is that?
Hot. by Buster Poindexter.
How you feeling? That's funny,
Brown
man.
Sugar by the Stones.
Oh, you got a whole list.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of them. What's the other one? The one everybody plays. My memory's so bad. I can't get to it.
You got it with hot, hot, hot. That was it. And it's funny because here we go, another couple of degrees of separation. When that song was out, I played in a celebrity pool tournament at Cafe Society in Manhattan, and Buster Poindexter, not David Johansen, but Buster Poindexter was in the tournament.
Yeah, and he won.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's great. I'm not the New York Dolls. I was into them when I started getting into punk in the late '70s. It was just, I couldn't believe that he totally changed his style. He went to his thing, and Buster Poindexter comes out, and he was hot for that moment. He was really
Hot.
Well, it's interesting. We just watched a bunch of stuff from that time period, and one of the things was a documentary on Sid and Nancy.
Yeah.
And Sylvain is in the documentary, right? He's talking about the lifestyle and the whole thing back then. And I remember we had Steve Stevens, who's a friend of mine since he's a kid, on the show a year ago. And he told the story. I was asking, how did the Idol thing happen? Because we saw Steve in the neighborhood. He was one of those great kids. He was a few years younger than we were. One of those guys that you knew was going to come up and do stuff. People were always sneaking him in to see us play, and he'd stand there, and you knew that he was going to do something. And so I said, well, how did that happen? He said, I got together with Idol, but I didn't want to be, Steve Snyder. And I was talking to Sylvain, and Sylvain's last name is not Sylvain. His first name is Sylvain. His last name is something else, right? You can look it up. And so he said, you should be Steve. And that's how Steve Stevens came up with Steve Stevens.
That's right.
Wow, I love that story. That's
Yeah,
great.
see
Oh
how
my
you learn
goodness,
things
it's just such an entertaining show, isn't it? I mean, this is
Too much talk about nothing.
educational and informational. It's really, I feel like Allie Ward. Anybody? Allie Ward? No?
I know who that is.
I know you know who she, because you.
The
No?
more you know.
Who's the other? Oh, right. How about Mo Rocca?
Rocca.
Mo Rocca. The Mo you know.
I think it's too much talk about nothing.
It is too much talk about nothing. I hope.
Diabolical. Sue.
You know,
Bugs
when I
Bunny.
read those lyrics back, I left out the chorus for obvious reasons. When I read those lyrics back, anybody who, I feel like Carly Simon. Because all the people that I no longer interact with are going to think it's about them. Did you think it was about you?
I
Did
didn't
you?
think it was about me.
No, diabolical is not one of the words I would use to describe you, Don.
Or priggish.
No, certainly not priggish. And there is no self-sufficient mediocrity, so.
Nope. Not about me.
And you know, I just, you know, we're a factual show, and so I called Mark up. I had written those lyrics, just all the verses, and I didn't have a hook. And I called Mark up and I read them to him, right? Insincere displays of affection to the priggish will never change their size. I mean, and so I read him all the verses, and he says to me, "That's a whole lot of talk about nothing." Hook. Thank you.
There you go.
Too much talk about nothing.
And
thank you.
Tris Tram,
Yeah.
bassist of Double Vision.
And man, I hope I get the chance to play with that guy. Because,
according to him, you did.
well,
play
yeah,
one
no,
song.
but I mean, when I'm not doing Linda McCartney's charity or whatever that was.
Right.
And if Leslie was there, he was making it. You know, now that he said,
It was at Roseland.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I was not there. I
How
did
come
not go.
how come I don't remember these things?
I don't know. But I
But
know one thing.
what do you know?
Tomorrow night is Free for All Friday.
Oh, Free for All Friday.
So,
If I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
good night, everybody.
See you, kids.